what in the world's happening with King County real estate? This is interesting. Well, it's interesting if you like numbers and graphs and stuff, and I do. So look at this. You're looking at supply and demand for King County last 2 years. Green is the supply, number of listings. Blue is the demand, number of listings that went under contract any given month. And this is a break in the trend. Okay, it's a couple things. So the last couple of years, May has been consistently over the previous May, right? You got this. If I went back 3-4 years, you'd see the same thing. But this May, we didn't beat last year's May. We just barely beat this April. Now, that was not what I thought would happen. I thought the trend would continue. I thought we would still see a big jump over last year's, and we did not see a big jump in inventory. And then buyers are higher than last May, which is a break in the trend from buyers of the previous year. So what does that mean? It looks like the market, if this happens, if this continues to happen, like if June follows suit with less listings, right, than the previous year, which is what normally happens. June is usually a little bit lower. If that happens, then what we've seen is a leveling off of inventory in King County at that 3,500-ish mark. That's about, last couple of years, that's about our new normal. So we'll see if how this thing plays out, right? Buyers pretty strong in May. So what does this mean ultimately? It means if you're selling, it's not as bad as it was. We'll see what June turns out to be, but it's going to be a little bit more predictable to sell. You'll know a little bit more about what the competition is. It won't necessarily be a constant flood of new inventory. And buying is going to be slightly more difficult. This looks like a pretty balanced market. In fact, if we look at months, let's do a quick little search. Whoops. Of where this is. Hang on. Good. Of months of available inventory is what I'm looking for here. Month supply closed. Yep. Oh, we're at, that's the entire MLS. Let's just look at King County. Yeah, we're at 4. That's right in the middle of a balanced market. It's neither a buyer's market nor a seller's market. 3 to 6 months is a balanced market, is the way we talk about it. So this absolutely looks like a beginning of a balanced market where, this is how many days on market? Days on market. Still the average in King County was still 9, but look how volatile it is. It was 42 in January. So it's dropping. Looks like it's balancing. It looks like if you price it right, you should be able to get it sold quickly. And if you are looking for a bargain, you certainly could find one in people that didn't price it right the first time. Everyone's situation is unique. Everyone's different. We should talk if you got questions about your situation. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company over at EXP. Party on, Wayne. What in the world's happening with Kitsap County real estate? Finger guns. That's what's happening. Finger guns. Can't have enough finger guns. This is the supply and demand graph. Green is supply. Blue is demand. Green is the number of houses that came to market in any given month, and blue is the ones that went under contract. And you can see, look at this. This is new. This doesn't normally happen. May is almost always higher. May is almost always higher than April, but not this month in Kitsap. Inventory went down. What? Breaking the trend, meaning it's a little bit easier to sell because, look, buying demand is up. This is up to last year's level, but inventory is below last year's level. What? Easier to sell in Kitsap County than it was 2 years ago, and easier to sell than it was last year. All right, that's really bucking the trend. It's been very, very, very harder for sellers. Look, this is the days on market graph for Kitsap. In February, it was 37 days on market. 3 months later, it's 8 days on market. Easier to sell in Kitsap than it had been. But this also begins to point to that we're balancing. The market's balancing. It's no longer trending in one direction. It looks like it's going to, this looks like it's stabilizing now. We don't know what next month's going to bring, but this looks like it's beginning to stabilize right at the bottom end of a balanced market, not a buyer's, not a seller's. It's leaning slightly towards sellers right now, unlike King, but this is a specific, this is what's happening in Kitsap. So if you got a house to sell, price it right. Looks like you should be able to get that thing sold in, 10 days, 12, 15 days. And if you are looking to buy, you don't have as many choices as relative number of choices as you would in the other counties, but should still be able to find the right thing if you can afford it. Everyone's situation is different, though. Everyone's buyer's needs are different. Every seller's needs are different. If you got questions about your circumstances, that's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company over at eXp Realty. Party on, Wayne. Hey, what in the world's happening with Pierce County real estate? Look at this. Cool. All right, so this is a really, I think, interesting graph. So this is supply and demand, my favorite graph. Green is the supply, number of new listings. Blue is the demand, number of homes that went under contract. And you see a specific leveling off of supply. Supply is almost identical as last year's, which breaks a trend of the last 3 or 4 years of inventory going up every year-over-year comparison. It's only slightly up off of April, which again breaks a trend of it jumping significantly off the previous month in the spring, and breaks the trend that there's never been more buyers in Pierce County. Not never, but in the last 2 years. And if we go back further, we could see it's highest in the last 4 or 5 years. So what does this mean? This means, one is we're seeing a leveling off of inventory, meaning it's no longer just expanding. Not everyone is selling anymore. We're at 3.5 months of supply. That's the very bottom of a balanced market, meaning it's just as easy to buy as sell. It's a little bit shades towards seller, but it's not that big of a deal. 40 days on average for market, right? So that's beginning to get, from the peak of 60 over the last couple of years, we're down to 40. That's a balanced market. That means if you price it right, you'll get it sold in a month. If you don't price it right, you're not going to get sold. If you're buying, shouldn't have a ton of bidding wars, but you're probably not going to get a bunch of discounts. This is a relatively balanced market, not necessarily a stable market. We don't really know I don't think anything's stable. Certainly not me. But you do want to be able to know going into it overall, it's a pretty balanced market. Same 3-month supply of inventory. So what does that mean? Well, it depends on your situation because everyone's unique. Everyone has different needs, different things they can afford, different things they need to get out of their house. So buying or selling is a unique situation for everybody. So give me a call. Let's talk about what yours looks like and what the best plan moving forward is. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company at eXp. See you. Hey, what in the world is happening with Snohomish County real estate? Check it out. All right, this is pretty much the way our region looks. Okay, so if you've watched the King, Pierce, or Kitsap, anything before this isn't any different, frankly. It's a little bit different, but mostly this is what our region looks like. And if you didn't watch those, this is what our region looks like. We are capping off at inventory. This May was the same as last May, and it was just a little bit more than the previous May. Meaning we're leveling off. We're not continuing to increase. The trend of May, every month, year over year being more, that's broken here. We're a little bit more than last month, and buyers are up more than last month and more than last year, same month, year over year, more buyers. We're getting into a balanced market. This is 3.5 months of inventory, closed inventory. meaning if no new houses came to market, how many months would it take to sell everything that's on the market now? 3.5 months. Between 3 and 6 months is a balanced market, and we've been trending towards a balanced market for a while. We may be trending towards a buyer's market, but right now we're trending towards a balanced market, and we'll see. See, this looks like it's balancing, looks like it's stabilizing. Inventory keeps going up, we'd be going towards a buyer's market. Inventory stabilizes year over year. That looks like we may hold at a balanced market. We'll see. Snohomish has an average of 28 days on market, which is about what we're seeing across the region, 20 to 40 days in that range. So 30 is right in the middle. Meaning if you're selling and you price it right and it looks good, you should be able to get it sold within a month. And if you are buying, you should have choices without a ton of bidding wars. Balanced. See where it goes. Not going to get a bunch of bargains, not going to get over asking. You're going to get, right in what a normal market would be. So take an exhale. This isn't a hard market to buy or sell in. But everyone's situation is different. Everyone wants something different. Everyone needs something different. That's what I'm here for. Let's look at your situation. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company, eXp Realty. Party on, Wayne. Hey, what in the world's happening with Vashon Real Estate? Let's look at this. Of course, Vashon's weird, always weird. If you've seen the other 4 counties, you know this is different. Why? Because first of all, you're looking at supply and demand. Green is supply, new listings. Blue, demand, the number of homes that went under contract last 2 years. Why is this weird? Because inventory went down from April to May. Really doesn't happen very often. And it's not happening in our region as a whole. A couple of counties, but overall, and buying was up. Buyers went up. So this is balancing. What there is to know about this is we're heading toward a balanced market all across the region. This is the supply, meaning how many months would it take to sell the number of homes on market right now, if no new homes came on, at the current rate of buying, how many months would it take to sell them? 4.3. That's a balanced market. That's not a buyer's or a seller's market. And days on market, 26 average. But look where it's swinging from, 112 in January, down to 26. We're balancing. It's getting, you're not going to get a bunch of bidding wars, but you're also not going to wind up with homes sitting. You price it right, you'll get it sold in a month or so. If you're buying, you're not going to get a bunch of bidding wars, but you're not going to get a lot of discounts. So this is a really interesting phenomenon across the region. Vashon's got its own take on it, mostly because it's such a, laws of small numbers. It's any single number is going to change it, given there's just 25 homes that went on for sale. But that's less than the 31 that went on in April. So we'll see. If that continues, it's going to be more of a seller's market for the rest of the year, but we'll see. We don't really know. This looks like it's balancing overall in the region. It looks like it's balancing. We'll see how June turns out. But right now, every situation is unique. So if you're buying or selling, you probably want a private consultation so you can get the best course of action for your circumstances. Give me a call. That's what I do. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company over at eXp. Party on, Wayne.